beautiful homes and neighborhoods and your neighbors and everybody that saw equity increase jump over the years, most of them took a leap of faith, right? And they borrowed against their home in order to do the following, right? So February of 2025 was the slowest month ever recorded in Toronto GTA real estate. Isn't that something? Although if you have followed this channel, you got these glimpses and you got these videos that I have been posting months ago, even years ago, talking about this particular phenomena. But in this particular video, let's talk about what happened from peak till today, how long it took, and we'll talk about some numbers. We'll talk about what led to this particular phenomena of the February of 2025 being the lowest month ever recorded. Think about that, ever recorded in real estate history. However, these graphs and these statistics and all of that stuff, they're very interesting, right? But there are definitely some surprises. Like even I'm surprised looking at some data. So let's get right into the video. All right, so when we're talking from peak to peak. So right now we're in March, and why I'm talking about February data is obviously we have to go back 1 month in order to collect all the data, to decipher it, to see what's going on, and to actually talk about it, right? But March of 2025 is exactly 3 years from peak to today, right? So we have a situation of 3 years, and in these 3 years, a lot of things have happened, right? We have seen interest rates go high up, and we have seen these owners and landlords trying to fight this battle with interest rates, high overhead costs, and everything that has been going on. But then from that era, we have seen interest rates feather down. We have seen what they like to claim, or what they like to say, the actual market stabilizing. But I don't think it happened, right? Because looking at the scenario today, that's not what is happening, right? Because in February of 2025, despite all of the situation, what has happened, lowering of interest rates, inflation, they're claiming they have it under control and all of that stuff, but still there's chaos in the market, right? And we have the slowest month ever recorded. So why is that, right? So my personal take on it, and what I see on front lines and when I talk to clients and all of that stuff, is that people have been impacted and they have been hurt to that extent that they cannot recover that easily, right? So what I mean by that exactly is, over that period of 3 years from the peak, and maybe even prior to that, most of these owners, they were taking lines of credits, HELOCs, just to stay afloat, trying to find different strategies in order to survive the impact, right? So now when that after the impact, when situations got better, they did not get better, right? Because they cannot just wake up the next day and forget about their debt, right? Like they have to ride all of these costs and high interest rate on their debt ratios and all of that stuff, right? But then if we look at data, from February 2024 to February 2025, so from last year comparison to this year, sales are down by 33%. So sales are down by 33% year over year, and inventory is up by 45% in comparison to February of 2024 to February of 2025. And this number is extremely, extremely concerning, because you don't want these two graphs to look like this. Like, this is the last thing you would want when you're looking at the graph, right? Sales are down and inventory is up, right? Like, that's a double hit on the actual real estate impact. However, 50% of overall sales in Toronto GTA consisted of condos. Okay, so let's talk about that, right? So yes, even in my videos and all of the videos and my colleagues on YouTube and whatnot, like, everybody's saying game over for condos. Condos are suffering, and it is true. So how come we have 50% of sales of the entire sales inventory condos? It doesn't really make any sense. Well, I'll try to explain it, right? So what happens, and I mentioned this on my channel many times. I'll repeat it again for some of you that are not subscribed yet, and here's a chance for you to subscribe. Most of these homes, freehold, beautiful homes and neighborhoods, and your neighbors, and everybody that saw equity increase jump over the years, most of them took a leap of faith, right? And they borrowed against their home in order to do the following, right? So one could be to renovate. Second could be to purchase a investment property, right? And most of them did, right? And you remember at the time of condo madness, right? Everybody, that was the easiest opportunity since sliced bread, it seemed like, right? So you just buy these pre-construction condos, you wait a little bit, you sell them before you take occupancy, and you just collect profits, right? However, now they were caught in this period. They went through that period of hard impact of interest rates and all of that stuff that was happening, and they have issues, right? Obviously, right? And what's the issue? It's the ongoing cost, affordability, debt ratio, and all of that stuff, right? So many of these condo owners don't want these condos anymore. They don't want them, all right? Like, they just want to get out of that deal. So I heard many times people say it's a bad deal. Okay, fine. However, now, which real estate or strategy will they implement? Will they rather get rid of a home like this, right? Or their condo investment? Well, it is simple. They would love to stay in their house, right? Their matrimonial home, their home that they raise their kids at, or whatever the case is, and just dump these condos. So therefore, we saw a huge slashes in price. The inventory spiked up, and people were just trying to get rid of these condos. And yes, some of these condos, they have to be perfect. And when I say perfect, I mean perfect in order to sell, right? Perfect location, perfect floor plan, perfect price, perfect floor height, perfect, like, everything has to be perfect in order for a buyer to pull a trigger, right? And they have to be in the right price point. So most of the people that are buying these condos right now are people that are, maybe single. They're looking for like a 1-bedroom unit with the perfect layout, maybe a little den on the side and whatnot, right? So what else is hot in real estate today, right? So I'm finding that townhomes, semi-detached properties, right? Like those properties that are, you know, semis, right? They're in high demand, right? So in most areas, you can get into a unit like that between, you know, $800,000, $900,000, maybe even have a side entrance to a basement or whatnot, right? So they're very, very, very desirable, right? So when you look at that, obviously that these things will sell, and in some occasions, in some situations, I do even see holding offers on these. And you would say, okay, hold on a second. If the market is not good, how come we have certain properties that are holding offers or have an offer date or offer night, right? For a property like that, if real estate is dying. Well, yes, it is true, real estate is dying, but some people still need to live somewhere and they need to buy, they need to purchase, right? So everybody is trying to buy or look for the best possible outcome. So what's the outcome, right? If they can purchase a semi-detached home with a side entrance basement and still have an upper floor for their family, they could still have a backyard, they could still have a driveway, maybe even a double driveway with a garage attached to it and stuff like that, right? So financially, it might make sense to them, right? And many people are thinking the same in certain situations, right? If they have a budget, they would rather pay $800,000-$900,000 versus $1.234 million for an equivalent detached property, right? Because not many have the extra funds nowadays. So for the future of real estate market, it might get worse before it gets better, obviously due to political situations, and we have so many things lingering around, and with our Canadian government and all of that stuff, like we're still in a limbo when it comes to that. But when everything settles down, or before everything settles down, I think it'll take a few years before we get to that particular point. So I hope you got some value out of this particular video, and I'll see you in the next one.